Welcome to the Mission Driven Podcast, the show designed to empower, educate, and encourage you to stay focused and committed to your mission. I'm your host, AC Cristales. Let's get ready to roll. All right, thank you so much for joining me on the Mission Driven Podcast with AC Cristales. Today, I have the special honor of having Lauren Gladu as my guest. She's a administrator, assistant principal out in the Chicago area, and I'm excited to have her. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just cooped up like everybody else seems to be right now at the time because of, what's going on with the COVID-19 coronavirus. How's it going out there?
Things going pretty good. We're under some restrictions here in Illinois as well, but we're able as administrators to still get to the building as needed to help out some kids that may need electronic devices so they can do e-learning from home and stay connected.
All right, very good. And you know what today was supposed to be, right?
Oh, opening day.
Opening day. Yep.
Major League Baseball.
I was just thinking about that when I saw some posts on my feed about, today being opening day. And last year, at this time, the Cubs were actually playing the Rangers here in Texas. So, I was there last year, but it's just crazy how the world just seems to have just flip, in the past month. But we're going to get through it. And again, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. I know there's some things that you want to share that I know will be beneficial to people who tune in on the podcast. I have a lot of educators who listen to this, and not only educators, but also parents and also students. So I know that the information that you're going to be able to provide just by sharing your story is going to be beneficial to them, and it's going to be impactful as well. So let's just go ahead and get started. Why don't you start just by giving the listeners a little bit of information about, just your family, your education, and your career background, and how you got to where you're at right now.
So I've been in education for about 15 years. I started off, I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, in a south suburb of Chicago. And I graduated from University of Illinois at Chicago, started teaching out in Mount Prospect, Illinois, 5th grade, taught for a few years out there, and then decided I wanted to move up a little bit, go to middle school. So I decided to relocate to Dallas, Texas area. Came down there and taught in Plano Independent School District, 6th grade, 7th grade, coached a little volleyball and track. Then went over to Garland ISD and taught middle school English there, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then I had my opportunity to get into administration a few years back, probably about 4 years now. So I started off in high school and did a little middle school administration as well. And now I'm back in Illinois this past year, just moved back in July to be close to my family, see what I can do to help out as my parents get a little older. So now I'm here as an administrator in Thornton Fractional 215 School District, which is a south suburb of Illinois.
Okay, so you went back to Chicago, right? You had to, man. Chicago, Dallas. No comparison.
Chicago definitely a great city,
for sure.
But I do miss that weather.
You do? Yeah, I'm sure you do miss that weather out here. So tell us a little bit about what you do right now. One of the things with this podcast, the reason why I started it is to just, encourage people to always know that their life has a mission, their life has a purpose. So everybody who's placed on this earth, I truly, truly, truly believe, as cliche as it may sound, they have a purpose, they have a mission. So what's your life's mission, and how does it align to the work that you do now as a school administrator?
Well, I definitely would agree with you there. I feel like since I've been in education, I've really connected with kids on a social and emotional level. And that's kind of been something that has been my passion for a long time. So fortunately, I had a lot of good connections when I was in the Dallas area and got to have the experience of being in middle school and high school, and then the elementary experience I had in Illinois prior to moving to Dallas. So it's really helped me look at the whole child and kind of see their development, from early on through high school.
For sure.
And really what I think it is that learning how to build relationships with kids, learning how to keep them connected to something, whether it be a particular educational aspect they're interested in, or an sports aspect, or a social aspect of school in itself. That's really been something I've been invested in. So last year when I was still in Garland, I had the opportunity of working at Coyle Middle School, and South Garland High School. And there I was able to work with the Freshman Academy at South Garland and implement PBIS practices
Hmm.
at Coyle. And that was like our first year of doing that. So I was able to really get in on the ground floor of seeing what it took to kind of positively motivate students and connect them to the school in a way that was, encouraging and not so punitive. With always giving them consequences for every decision they made, really teaching them how to learn from their decisions that they make and how to grow from them, and to build more positive relationships and restore relationships that maybe they had damaged through poor decision making.
Okay.
So
Let me
this
just
year,
let me just I don't mean to just cut you off, but before you continue, because you're providing a lot of good information, but PBIS for maybe someone who's listening to this and they don't know what that stands for. What does that stand for?
positive behavior intervention supports.
Okay, very good. All right, continue. There you
So
go.
no, no, you're right. We're in education. We always speak in
Thanks,
acronyms like
right,
everybody
man. Yep.
to know what we mean. Secret code. But so now this year with being able to see how to implement the training that I received in Garland, this year at my new school, my position is a little unique. Whereas um, I'm the assistant principal over the dean's office, so I have three deans that work under me, seven dean's assistants, two secretaries, and collaboratively we all work to support the students and control the building as far as like behavior and attendance and different things like that.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want me to get in a little bit more
Yeah,
into
you
that.
can. Yeah, I was gonna also ask you. You said you worked in middle school and high school last year, so in terms of because they're a different animal, a lot of people think that they're the same, but there is a big change. Just like when you see from going from fifth grade to sixth grade, if you're an elementary
Hmm.
campus that works that way, there's a big shift that happens, and that's one of the things that has me worried. Because my daughter will be going to middle school here, and actually she's in Rockwall, so she won't start till seventh grade. But I know there's that transition year that plays the biggest it plays a big part, just in terms of just development, whether social and emotional. So I'm sure you saw that from going from South Garland to Coyle, correct?
Correct. So one of the biggest things I saw was that the kids going from middle school into the high school, they really weren't prepared in a sense of they didn't understand what it meant to socialize in a bigger environment with kids that come from different backgrounds. Um, to understand what it means to actually earn a credit that's going to be toward something that will get you to graduation. Whereas in middle school, they're just, they feel like if I just kind of do the work and come to school and that I'll, just get promoted.
Mm-hmm.
But in high school, they really have to learn the value of like earning that actual credit to move on to the next level. And as well as that, they don't really understand good digital citizenship. Going from elementary and middle school, it's kind of like everything's a joke and a game.
Yeah.
And they're really, really playful. And they don't realize, when they get to high school, the implications of having that digital device and being on social media and how you can use it for good or for evil or, really disrupting the learning environment sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was one of the biggest things that I learned in dealing with middle school kids and high school kids is really teaching them good digital citizenship.
So how'd you do that? That's interesting. I like that you said that. What were some specific things that you did to help them learn how to be good
So
digital citizens?
so some things that I did was I worked with some teachers there that we created just kind of mini lessons where we would start like at the freshman level and with the freshman academy and push out lessons that had to do with like self-awareness, um, and digital citizenship, different things that would affect kids at that grade level, and just kind of taught them to think before they post, to think of questions as to how this would affect their relationship with others, how it would affect others' relationship with one another, how could it affect the academic environment, how could it affect the social environment in and out of school. and just really, and then doing some role plays with some students. Like I know a lot of times when I had students come in, I would just kind of say, well, this is a decision that you chose to make. Like you chose to make this post about someone, talking about a relationship that they had or whatever. But let's play this out. What if the role was reversed and they
Hmm.
did this to you? How would you feel? How would that affect your family? How would it affect your friends? How would it affect others' viewpoint, of you?
How do they take to that? That's pretty good. I like that. You always
They
putting somebody
really
else in somebody else's shoes. So that's good.
they really responded well to it, because I think one of the biggest things is really understanding that empathy piece,
Hmm.
and how would others feel, and then really playing it out. A lot of times they don't play out the whole scenario. They just say, well, I just posted as a joke.
Hmm.
But then how did your joke, how did it make the other person feel, or someone else that read it that may have been feeling the same way, then how did it affect them?
For sure.
And realize that it's a domino effect.
Exactly.
So really, a lot of it was a lot of my strategies with working with kids is listening and asking questions,
Hmm.
questions that really make them sometimes uncomfortable, in a sense of, they didn't think of how that affected another person, or oh, I did this and now look at the results, instead of just always, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. Well, why? How does that affect? So like this year, I have a partner in school that I'm in, and we created this thing called a character education development project.
Hmm.
And basically, in response to, like, here it's Senate Bill 100, but in Dallas I can't remember what the law is, but about exclusionary discipline. So basically it's a project where the kids create a Google presentation or any kind of digital presentation that they want to use, where they have to really be reflective on the
Hmm.
decision they made. So a lot of times we do it with kids that have gotten to verbal conflicts, some physical altercations, but mostly it's minor altercations, so that they can see how their decision, who it affected, and how it made them look. Because a lot of times, at this age, they're very concerned about their perception
For sure.
of how other people think about them.
Exactly.
And it's been doing pretty well. I mean, we've only started probably about 3 or 4 months ago, but a lot of parents are really receptive to it because it gives their kids an additional layer of kind of intervention for them to think about their decisions, so that we're not just being punitive and saying, well, we're going to suspend you or you're going to go to in-school suspension type deal,
Hmm.
but just giving them that time to really reflect. And then they have to send the assignment back to us. And then we respond to them via email or like a Google chat or a Google Hangout,
Hmm.
to kind of process through the presentation that they
Okay.
created.
That's good. So why in a time, right? Obviously you've been in education for a long time. In a time where it seems that it's just about test scores and just making sure that students meet certain standards on standardized tests, why do you take so much time to focus on, because you're focusing on their character, you're focusing on empathy, you're focusing on them, putting themselves in somebody else's shoes to understand that their actions you know affect them and also affect others. Why do you spend so much time on that? I'm curious, because that's good, because that's to me is one of the most important pieces about being a school leader. Is understanding that, yeah, there are test scores and we have to get those, but man, there's a part of kids that they're human as well. So.
So I think it's so important to me is because when I was in the classroom, I felt that it was so much value in being connected with kids and building relationships. I had kids that came from all different socioeconomic backgrounds and situations. But if they knew that I cared about them and that in turn they cared about me, then I could get them to do anything I need them to do.
For
It
sure.
wasn't a matter of today we're going to work type deal. My kids work for me every day and they gave me their best every day, but they know that's because I expected it from them and I gave them my best and that I cared about their life. You know, there is a simple little thing I used to do when I remember when I started teaching eighth grade and I had all these boys in my classroom and I didn't know what I was going to do with all these rambunctious little boys.
Yeah.
And I started wearing different kind of tennis shoes on Friday and we could dress down.
Yeah.
And the kids were just responding to that, like, "Oh, Miss Gladu, I like those shoes," or "Oh, those are really cool." Just something like that, and
Jordans,
connect
right?
them? Jordans. Oh
There you
yeah,
go.
it was all about the Jordans. Connected with the kids. They immediately knew that like I was a regular person, and then all of a sudden I had all these boys' undivided attention.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a simple, small thing like that. But I feel like even right now, response to what's going on in the world with the COVID-19 is that you know sometimes I feel like we're looking at it from the wrong angle. Everybody's concerned about the kids being on e-learning and all this
Yeah.
at home learning, and that's great. We want to respond and make sure we're doing our job as educators to keep kids connected and learning. That's important, no doubt. However, I feel like right now the more important question is how are you doing today?
There you go.
What are you doing to keep yourself active? What are you doing to keep your mind focused? What are you doing to stay connected to people? Like that's more importantly. So when I reach out to my kids, because our superintendent has challenged us to reach out to a certain amount of kids every day,
Yeah.
make connections, which I think is great. So like I started a Google Voice account. I call my kids through Google Voice. I message them through Google Voice, and I just ask them like, "Hey, it's Miss Gladu. I just want to know what are you doing today? Like, um, are you doing any exercises? Even something as silly as I've been posting TikTok videos like crazy.
Yeah.
Just and the kids have been commenting, "Oh, this is so cool. Thanks so much." Because some kids are sitting at home really, really depressed
Yeah.
and scared
Yeah.
and lonely.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't keep that human contact with them, then we're going to lose them. They're not going to do the math, the reading, the writing, the science. It
That's
doesn't
right.
matter.
Yeah, that's like second. That's like doesn't even matter for them right now. It's them right now, just wondering when is this going to end. When are we going to get back to some normalcy? And it's not even kids, man. It's even adults. I've had some
Yeah.
conversation with adults, and they're talking about they're feeling anxious. So one of the things that I was thinking about, especially because I mean we cannot have a conversation right now and not talk about what's going on in the world because that's obviously affecting our decisions and what we're doing on a daily basis right now. But I think because they asked me how's my daughter doing, and she's fine, and she's fine because she has two healthy adults that are taking care of her, right?
Mhm.
She sees her mom and her dad that were not out there, stressful, or
Mhm.
stressed out, excuse me, or anxious or whatnot. We know that things are going to work out, but think about some students who don't have parents who have that type of mindset, right? Or
Mhm.
who parents are wondering, man, when is our next paycheck going to come in? Or we just got laid off, or we're just unemployed, and how are we going to pay the rent? So it's important to have healthy, adults in our students' lives to teach them the things that are important right now. And not to say that math isn't important or reading isn't important. All that is important, but right now, it's this human aspect of, man, I just want to know that things are going to be okay. So I love that you're doing that. I love that you said that. And I think, because you've mentioned it, that's what you used to do when you were a teacher, and that's what you're doing now as an administrator. So that's your mission right there. Regardless of whatever position you're in, you want to make sure that the child is taken care of. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've been doing things in our district just like virtual spirit weeks.
mhm.
So we post on Twitter. Take up today was sports day. So take a picture of yourself or a video doing something active with you or your family or whatever. So like I posted a video of me doing some workouts, and it's just showing the kids like we can still be connected. We can still help you occupy your time because a lot of thing another thing that I think is really important is creating some type of schedule.
Yeah.
You have to think about the kids and administrators and teachers.
Yeah.
We're used to living our life on a schedule.
Yeah, for sure.
A bell rings, we move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Another bell rings, move on to the next thing. So creating that schedule, even like for me, helps. That I'm going to get up at a certain time. I'm going to eat breakfast at a certain time. I'm going to have this amount of time where I'm going to read something. Then this amount of time where I'm going to connect with kids. It just makes sense. To just keep yourself occupied because we don't know how long this is going to go on. But at the same time, living day by day. Just preparing for what we can prepare for and staying connected. Fortunately, we have all this wonderful technology,
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been Zooming with some kids, FaceTiming, WhatsApp,
Yeah.
all those different kinds of things you can use. But the priority right now to me is staying connected.
For sure. For sure. And so, I'm kind of gonna skip a question that I had asked you. I'll get back
Mhm.
to it, but and you kind of hit on this again. You kind of hit on this already, but let me just go ahead and maybe there's something else. So we're in these difficult times. We're in these trying times, right? So what else should principals and teachers, what else should other folks be on, you know, on top of what you just mentioned, on top of making sure that our kids are okay emotionally? What else should
Mhm.
they be focusing on?
Well, I think all around the world, or the U.S., that everybody is making sure that the kids are being fed,
Hmm.
because that's a big thing, and that you're sending consistent messages.
Okay.
I think is important. We want to appear united, so that keeps the kids stable and know that we're trusted adults. Started doing at the school I'm at right now. We always have a faculty Friday meeting when we were normally in session, where we would meet, and each department of the building, the guidance, the dean's office, curriculum and instruction, would share something that's going on in their department with the teachers, and we'd have a Q&A.
Hmm.
So what was really cool is that last Friday we did our first virtual Zoom Faculty Friday,
Okay.
and we had probably 80 something teachers on there, which was awesome. And we just kept our routine.
Yeah.
We just said, "Hey, this is what's happening with the dean's office." I shared some updates with the teachers, that I had been talking to my deans about, and some things with kids. Curriculum instruction share. We're rolling out a new curriculum in our district. We just went right on along with, this is what's going to happen. I mean, forging ahead is huge,
Yeah.
because since we are uncertain, but you can't be at a standstill.
Yeah.
I read something on Twitter not too long ago about leaders, and it said that you can't be afraid to make a decision,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Everybody's not going to make the right decision according to maybe what someone else feels is right,
Hmm.
but you have to make a decision, because the indecisiveness is what divides, in my
Hmm.
opinion,
Hmm.
or what builds chaos, or what builds uncertainty and
Yep.
anxiety. So I think not being afraid to make decisions, that you think are in the best interest of the kids and the families, in your heart's in the right place, I don't think you can go wrong with that.
Okay, that's good. And I've always heard this quote that said, "More is lost by indecision than by a wrong decision." So
Hmm.
you got to act sometimes. So you're big on social emotional support. You've hit on that for the past 10 15 minutes, and that's great. So what else could you provide for educators, for parents who are listening, or for even students who are listening to this podcast? What other tips could you provide for them?
I think right now, I would say, I would encourage kids and adults to journal.
Hmm.
I think that's a huge thing that gets your mind active, and it's very, very reflective. I just feel like, for whatever reason this happened at this particular time to all of us worldwide.
Yep.
So slow down and reflect, so that when we come out of this, um, you'll be prepared to do something that may be able to impact someone else,
For sure.
or make a decision that will be a new precedent, should we ever get in a situation like this again.
That's good. You know what? It's a trip because I wrote some things down because one of the things, the way this whole podcast came about, I put a post on my Instagram. What should I do a podcast about? And you talked about social and emotional support. So as I was doing some research, I wrote down two things that stood out to me. The first one was checking with your students. All right. Obviously, you hit on that, right? Checking with your students. Technology has afforded us the ability to check in with students through various apps and various means. So you already said that. And then the next one is what you just said as well. It's important for students to be able to reflect, right? To write down their feelings, to express themselves, whether it's through a song, through poems, whatever, even art, right? Just be able to express themselves. And one of the reasons I think, and I'm just piggybacking off of what you said, but it's so crazy how this just came together. I think reflection time is important for our students because one of the core competencies of social and emotional learning is the ability to recognize your emotions, your values, your strength, and your limitations. So it's okay for them to identify their emotions and say, hey, you know what? I'm not feeling good right now, right? I'm
Mhm.
not, I'm feeling lonely or I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling scared. It's okay for them to express that. But then when they express that, it's important for them to have somebody and know that, hey, I can share this with my principal, I can share this with my counselor, I can share this with my teacher. If I
Mhm.
don't have a parent in my house who's involved or who's there for me emotionally, I need to know that there's an adult that's there. So I'm with you. You know, it's important for them to be able to, just express themselves and reflect. But then it's also important for them to have somebody that they can talk to. And I think, what you're doing, and what your teachers are doing, and what a lot of teachers, right? Obviously, we're both on Twitter, and we both, follow a lot of educators. We see that they're doing their part to make sure that they're available to the students, and I think that's one of the best things that they can do. But it's also important, for them to tell their students, hey, it's okay for you to express yourself. Tell me how you're feeling. Write it down. Put it in a Google Doc or something, right? Just let us know, because once we know what you're going through, then we can be like, okay, then we can help you. We can be more specific on what information to provide them. So that's great that you said that. Yeah. So, well, let's see what else I had for you. Yeah, so let's just talk about this. Obviously, you're doing great things out there. I'm sure the schools out here in Garland miss you. But what is one experience that you have been a part of as an educator that you're most proud of? Let's end this on a good note. All right. So we've been talking
Okay.
about trying times, and we know that's out there, but we're gonna
Right.
make it, right. But let's end this on a good note.
Man, there's been so many. Unfortunately, I've had a very blessed career and very supportive teachers, colleagues, administrators to work with. But I just think of something recently that I was able to accomplish with the help of my building principal and the school district I'm in right now. Um, we created restorative justice centers, like a classroom for the kids. And it's the coolest thing. I wish I had pictures to show you right now. I have to send you some pictures, but my building principal said he set aside some money for me when I got there, and he was like, "We have been talking about this, but I don't know what you think about it." And I was like, "Oh, that's crazy," because I love doing stuff like that. So he gave me some money, and I stretched it. Man,
Yeah.
I stretched to the limit. Um, I bought like rocking chairs and yoga mats and all kinds of different manipulatives to de-escalate students. It's crazy. There's one thing that I put in that room, bubbles. Have you ever thought about
Bubbles.
kids blowing bubbles?
Nah.
That totally will take a kid from 100 to 1 in a matter of minutes. I had a student that was like just on 10, as the kids say,
Yeah.
upset about something that happened with another student. And I brought her in the room and I was like, hey, the lighting is really nice in there. The color on the wall is really
Yeah.
calming. There's like a sandbox, just all these different kind of things that sound crazy, but
Yeah.
they work with kids.
Okay.
So I gave her some bubbles. I said, hey, go sit over in the rocking chair for a minute and blow some of these bubbles for me. And she looked at me like, blow bubbles. I'm not 5.
Yeah, yeah. These are high
Just
school kids.
freshman,
Yeah.
high
Right?
school kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was like, okay. So she listened to me. She went over there, started blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
I gave her some water because I had read some books by Ruby Payne, and she had
Yeah.
talked about giving kids about 8 to 10 ounces of water, like help bring them down.
There you go.
And next thing you know, she was like totally calmed down. We sat down, was able to discuss the situation. I was able to bring the other student in and have like a mediation,
Yeah.
and like all was great with the world. But it just took something as simple as, hey, chill out and blow some bubbles for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
You
Simple
know?
and unexpected as well, because
Yeah.
most of the time
Yeah.
they don't expect that. And when you do something that's unexpected, even now, guarantee you go to a birthday party, you see some bubbles, you're like, oh, yo, let me do some bubbles, even now
Right.
as an adult, because it's not what you're accustomed to doing. And whenever you shift, right, to from doing what you're accustomed to doing, it always seems to kind of just, okay, I'm, yeah, I'm blowing bubbles now. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things I'm really proud of, that I've been able to do this year, was create that room, and to the feedback that the kids have given that I've been able to take to our school board and share with them, um, has been great, as far as it being a resource for the kids. And I just, my next plan moving forward is to really try to build some significant PD for teachers to teach them how we could use the resource in this room, or what they could bring in their classroom, that will be real simple and easy, and that they could help de-escalate kids with. So
For sure, that's
I'm
good. So
excited about that.
that's good. Well, that's going to lead into this next question that I had, prepared for you. So, what other piece of advice could you give, teachers out there, as they're obviously, things are kind of and a standstill in terms of being in an actual school building, but we're still having school.
Mhm.
We're just doing it, through technology. But what are some things that you can, some tips that you can provide to educators that they can provide, for them to be able to provide that social, emotional support to their students?
Um, I would say that they should, or they could, create, little forums for the kids to express themselves, like with open-ended questions or thoughts. Of course, monitored so that they can see what the kids are saying. But I just think the best way is just, as I mentioned earlier, is just, staying connected with them and communicating with them, giving them some questions to kind of ponder over, for each day. Um, one thing I used to do when I was in the classroom that I always thought was really, really fun with the kids, I would start off my class with what I would call morning musical medley.
Okay.
And I'd it would be at the beginning of the year, they all got to select songs that they like. And I would use instrumental, of course, but I would just pull from that list of songs and they would write the first thing that came to their mind. I would just say, okay, for the next 5 minutes, whatever comes to your mind when you hear this song, write about it, whether it's a story, whether it's a joke, whether it's, whatever it is, just come to your mind, just write about it. And I would sit down and write with them.
Okay.
So I just think if teachers are creative in that way, they'll get more kids to buy into staying with them and then learning with them. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like when you're in a classroom yourself, like nobody wants to do anything that's boring or, that's not engaging.
Exactly.
So figure out ways to connect with them digitally, and you can do that.
Okay. Very good. Now, for a piece of advice that you'd provide to students who may be listening to this podcast episode.
I would tell the kiddos to hang in there. Just hang in there. And, so many things, so many laws are getting ready to go into place now because this is such an unprecedented time that will affect them. And so there are a lot of kids out there that are saying, oh, well, this work is not being graded, or I don't have to do this because they're gonna pass me anyway,
Yeah.
because they don't, type deal. I messaged several kids today about this. I said, just stay with us and keep up the
Yeah.
best you can because the laws are changing. We don't know what's going to happen. No one wants to negatively impact your future by
Yeah.
saying you don't graduate or you don't get promoted to the next grade level. But there may be something that comes out that says if you can verify that students have done X, Y, and Z
Yeah.
through learning or online learning, whatever, then we can promote them, or so you just don't know. So just stay connected, guys. Stay with your teachers. Stay, listen to your parents, and just try to develop a routine every single day that you can live with. And if you're feeling anxious, scared, afraid, whatever it is, reach out to somebody.
Definitely.
Reach out to somebody. Go on the website, email a teacher, email. Everybody has a trusted adult in their life, hopefully.
Yeah.
If we're doing our job right, that you can reach out to.
That's true. I like that. I like that. Cause yeah, definitely. My Isabella, she's got like four times recess throughout the day. I'm like, what's going on? What are you doing? I call and she's like, oh, my recess again. But yeah, I hear you. It's especially important for them to just continue because and this could be another podcast for another topic for another podcast episode. But one of the things that I hope doesn't happen, but research shows that this is the time where that educational gap is going to get wider because
Mhm.
think about the students who don't have the resources, don't have the parents who are really staying on top of them. So it's important for us, man, for us educators, administrators, teachers, counselors to be there and to make sure that okay, yeah, there are things going on, but we also don't want that academic gap to get bigger. So yeah, students stay with it. If you need some help, there's so much out there, so many resources out there where you can continue to get the instruction that you need. It's gonna you know be a benefit to you and not put you behind. So definitely good
And
advice.
teachers, from what I've seen, by all my social media, is that they're willing to help. Like they want to stay busy and active too.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, challenge them. I'm a former English teacher. I did elementary, middle school. So if you need some help,
For sure.
reach out.
All right. Well, there you go. That's now we're leading into the next thing. So where can people, find you, reach out to you?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you. I have a Google Voice number
Okay.
that kids can text me. It is 708-808-0513. So I check that all the time. Kids can text, call if they need help or anything they want to discuss through that, as well as my work email, gladu at tfd215.org. Checking that constantly. Everybody that works with me, has ever worked with me, knows that I'm a very um, person that goes pum pum pum
Yeah,
pum all the time.
for sure.
Like I'm constantly moving. Like so, I'm dying too,
Yeah.
sitting in the house. So, if you want to, I have a lot of good little workouts that we can do. I'm trying to stay active too. I'm down for a TikTok duo with anybody. Whatever I can do to take your mind off of what's going on or just give you a smile or just anything, you know what I mean? It helps my heart. It helps me sleep every night, feel better. And I know there's a lot of educators out there and people in general that just everybody just wants to help and doesn't necessarily know how.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
All right.
whatever
Well,
we
what's
can
your
do.
TikTok information?
Let me look up my TikTok
All right,
information. Hang
there
on,
you
because I just got on TikTok. And what's funny is that I got on it probably a week before this all happened. And all the kids, I didn't know that I didn't have it private.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So the kids at school were like, "Oh, Miss Gladu, I love your TikTok." And I'm thinking, how are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess actually I can edit it so it has my name on it. So let me do that real quick.
Okay.
Okay, so my TikTok information is at Lauren LAURENG 94.
Okay.
And I have some very fun videos on there. Me and some administrators doing social distancing, TikToking, because you can record your section and then put it together wherever you are.
Okay. Really? Wow. All right.
We don't have to be together to do the video. So I think I learned that from watching Ron Clark. I was trying to figure out how he got those kids together to do the video, but you can actually record your part, text the person, then they can put it together and it can be one video with different locations.
Crazy. Crazy. All right.
Yeah.
So give us a Google Voice number again.
Okay.
708.
Google Voice number is
Uh
708
huh.
808
8 what?
808
Okay.
0513.
All right. Very good. So we got Google Voice 708-808-0513. And we have El Gladu at tfd15.org.
215.
215. I'm sorry. Okay. So let me
Mhm.
say that again. El Gladu, Gladu at tfd215.org. And
Correct.
your TikTok is at Lauren G94.
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you wanting to just share a little bit about what you're doing, the great things that you're doing out there in the great state of Illinois. And so appreciate you. Wish you all the best. And thank you again for your information.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good. Thanks
Take
so much
care.
for having me. I enjoyed it.
No problem. Take care. That about wraps up another episode of Mission Driven with AC Crystallis. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview with Lauren Gladu. She provided a lot of great information that she's doing out in the school that she's working in the Chicago area. And as a reminder, if you need some help, if you want to reach out to her, you can call her on her Google Voice number. That's 708 808 0513, or you can email her at elgladu at tfd215.org. Let me repeat that again. That's elgladu at tfd as in David 215.org. And if you want to battle her, on TikTok, because she says she's down to battle, do some TikTok battles. You can reach her on TikTok at Lauren G94. So guys, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you guys. I know I've been out for a minute, and I'm going to explain that a little bit on my next episode. So my plan, actually not my plan, it's going to happen. I'll have a solo podcast for you guys Monday morning. All right. So again, thank you for your support. If you've enjoyed this episode, or if you've enjoyed any other episodes that you've listened to, please share it to your people on your social media platforms. This is a great time while most of the world right now is just having to stay at home, for social distancing and whatnot. This is a great time to, listen to some things, listen to some podcasts. If it's not mine, listen to somebody else who will just, encourage you, right? Encourage you and bring you a sense of peace, because during these times, that's what we need. We need that reminder. We need, just like we go to the gym and we work out and whatnot to feel good physically, we also need to work out our mind as well. So again, let's spread this message, just share this podcast with people. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to rate and review it as well. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure to press that follow button. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I wish you guys a great, great, great weekend, and I'll be back on Monday. Until then, always remember that the mission is now. So remain mission driven. Until next time, faith, hope, love.